but you have to acknowledge that things already happened. And now what are you going to do about it? Are you going to lay on your back and allow these things to taunt you and terrorize you forever? Or are you going to acknowledge, like, hey, this hurted me, but I am willing to work through this because I know that I am resilient and I know that I have more to my story than this. Take responsibility for your life. Take your power back. Hey y'all, it's Megan May and this is Transparency, where we keep it real about our growing pains and all the beautiful moving parts of life that may not be the most glamorous but shape us into who we are today. So if you feeling this, make sure you lock in by hitting the subscribe button, and if you have anything to add to the conversation, go ahead and do that as well. Just let me know that we see each other. So today we'll be talking about the 5 steps to self-love, and those 5 steps are acceptance, forgiveness, self-responsibility, self-care, and self-compassion. So what is self-acceptance? We talked about this last time, but we're going to talk about it again. But self-acceptance is simply just allowing yourself to be who you are, living authentically to yourself, and understanding that yes, you have flaws. We all have flaws, but that doesn't mean you judge yourself. That doesn't mean you participate in negative self-talk. That means that you cater to those things that you dislike and understand why is it that you have a problem with these parts of yourselves, and are they worth the change, or are they just unique parts of yourself that make you who you are, but are not necessarily negative things. They might not be common amongst others, and so you might feel a little bit insecure about these parts of yourself, but that doesn't make those things bad things. That doesn't mean that you have to change those things about yourself. In fact, a lot of the times, things that we aren't willing to accept about ourselves that make us who we are the things that make us stand out the most. And so if you're battling with any insecurities, or if you are struggling with negative self-talk, really dig in deeper to find the root behind why is it that you dislike that part of yourself, and learn how to cater to that part of yourself, learn how to love that part of yourself, and accept that part of yourself. After you're able to identify why is it that you dislike certain parts of yourself, and you really get to the root cause behind the why, and you start nurturing that part of yourself, or if it is something that you rather erase from your being, you do the work to actually change that part of yourself. Really start to give yourself that positive affirmation of, I love myself for who I am, and I'm a work in progress, and I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to be the best version of myself. That's something that you have to continuously remind yourself of. I am who I am, and though there's parts of myself that I might not like, I am a work in progress, and day by day, you take it day by day and trust that you're going to better yourself day by day, but actually do the work. It's not enough to just have the belief. You have to do the work. But that's where self-acceptance comes from, is acknowledging flaws and all. So the next step in loving yourself is forgiving yourself for all of the times that you've betrayed yourself, for all of the times that you folded, for all of the times that you didn't show your self-respect, for all of those times where you compromised your beliefs and your values, where you've allowed people to take precedence or priority over who you are and what you needed in a certain moment, for all of the negative self-talk that you might engage in, for anything that is not self-serving, for anything that causes more harm than good. You forgive yourself for those things, and you acknowledge that you make mistakes because you are human, but you know that these are things that you don't want to continue. You know that this might be a cycle that you might want to break out of, and so after you acknowledge it, you forgive yourself for it, and again, you do the work. It all comes down to doing the work. This is a journey because we're ever changing, we're ever evolving, and so there's going to continuously be parts of ourselves where we have to shed and where we have to confront, and we might get uncomfortable with ourselves at times. We might doubt ourselves at times, but that doesn't mean that we don't love ourselves. And if you feel like that is a reflection of you not loving yourself, you forgive yourself for that too. But self-forgiveness is really just acknowledging all of the times where you didn't act with your best interest in mind. You gave your power away to those circumstances that, seem like they came to tear you down, or those people who didn't seem like they necessarily had your best interest at heart. You forgive yourself for it all. And you understand that in moving forward, you're going to go about doing things differently because you love yourself. So, responsibility. What does it mean to take responsibility, and how does this factor into self-love? Well, we'll dig in deeper into this in a whole nother episode, but essentially, responsibility is just choosing to take your power back. You are not a victim of any of the circumstances that have occurred in your life, in your past, or even in your present. You understand that regardless of if you feel like you have a role to play, or if you feel like life is happening to you, that you are not a victim, because you hold the power to turn any circumstance around. You just have to see to it that it gets done. If you're sitting here wallowing and you're allowing yourself to feel guilt, you're allowing yourself to feel shame, and you're sitting here pointing a finger at this person or this situation for where you are today, then you're never really exercising true self-love, because you're allowing everything but yourself to be the reason for why you are where you are. How could you love yourself if you're giving your power away so easily? Like, yes, things happen. There are people who don't have your best interest at heart, who come and take advantage of you because you're giving, you're kind, you're gentle, you're nourishing, you're whatever. Whatever beautiful traits you possess, there are people that see those things and they gravitate towards them just as anybody else would. And, sometimes things happen. That's not to say that you didn't really have the power back then to really shape things for a better outcome, but you have to acknowledge that things already happened. And now what are you going to do about it? Are you going to lay on your back and allow these things to taunt you and terrorize you forever? Or are you going to acknowledge, like, hey, this hurted me, but I am willing to work through this because I know that I am resilient and I know that I have more to my story than this. Take responsibility for your life. Take your power back and understand that there's ebbs and flows. Some things do seem like they come around to break us down, to tear us down, to make us doubt and question ourselves. But if you love yourself enough, that will not be the case. Even if you have an ounce of doubts, even if you feel an ounce of guilt, even if you feel an ounce of shame, those feelings are fleeting. Because you know just how much power you hold to create the future that you desire despite what has happened in your past. So that's the third step to really building and fortifying your self-love. And self-care. That's the fourth step. I feel like I touch on this on almost every episode at this point, and I really don't feel like it's much to be said. Like, self-care is simply just catering to yourself in the ways that you need, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, really checking in with yourself, really following your intuition, really doing the things that your body are telling you that it needs when your body needs them, not ignoring anything, not being so strict on yourself or so stern with yourself where you're not being flexible to what your body or your mind may need in that moment. Sometimes we create these plans for ourselves, whether it be for your day, whether it be for the month, the quarter, the year, or your life. We create these plans, and I feel like a lot of us struggle with being flexible. But I am a firm believer that whatever is for you is for you. And so sometimes the timeline, it doesn't really hold up because things are happening in our lives that kind of throw us off course, whether that be physically, mentally, or emotionally. But self-care is really staying in tune with yourself to understand what is it that you need, how is it that you might need to pivot, You know, really having a check-in with yourself on a regular basis to understand if you're just operating out of routine, out of obligation, or if you're really doing what you need to be doing for how you presently feel and what you currently or presently need. And that's not saying that you're just throwing your future endeavors to the wayside to cater to specific feelings that you know you only are going to be feeling for a temporary moment. No, you're still working towards the same big dreams and the big goals that you have, but you're understanding that without taking care of yourself, it's going to prolong how soon you can actually achieve those things. Because if you're not doing well mentally, then even if you call yourself showing up and still doing the things, like eventually you're going to burn out. And that might take longer for you to restore yourself versus you feeling these things, you feeling these symptoms of just being unwell in any capacity, and tending to those symptoms then so that you can go ahead and heal and recover and restore yourself so that you can replenish yourself when you actually need it. And once you do that, like, you're going to have so much more energy, so much more power, so much more endurance, because you're not just working yourself into the ground. You're not just doing things with all this like rigidness, for lack of better words. You're allowing yourself to be flexible. You're allowing yourself to understand the needs and the desires that you have in that present moment, and really catering to those things in that present moment, understanding that it's all for the greater good. And the last and final step to self-love is self-compassion. And that's just simply showing yourself grace, being compassionate, and treating yourself the way that you would treat anyone else that you love. Understanding that we all make mistakes, that sometimes things are thrown into our lives that we didn't see coming, and sometimes it throws us off course. But we don't beat ourselves up about it. We understand that we're only human. And things happen. Regardless of the level of success that you reach, regardless of the titles that you may hold, you are human at the end of the day. And as a human, you face several different emotions on a daily basis. And it's not fair to not really be able to honor the way that you feel because you feel like you have to hold yourself to this high standard and this high obligation. For what? I mean, at the end of the day, what does that really count for when you're neglecting yourself in all the ways that you need that extra nurture and that extra care and that extra compassion? You're not serving yourself at all. And so I really want to close with that, is that in this month where, you know, you're seeing everyone being loved on, you're seeing everyone being spoiled, or whatever the case may be, really find the ways to show yourself that same love that you are seeking, that same compassion that you might be seeking. If you feel like, you know, other people in your lives are just not necessarily the most forgiving, the most gentle, the most nurturing, then find the ways to present those things to yourself, understanding that there's no better love. After the love of God, there's no better love than the love that you can give yourself. I mean, they say there's nothing like a mother's love. I'm not a mother, but my mother surely does love me a ton. But I feel like, you know, there are going to be days where that person just might not be able to show up in the way that you need them. Whoever that person may be for you, the person that you normally lean on, the person that shows you the most love, if it's not yourself, there's going to be days where they too do not feel it. They don't feel like being here. They don't feel like being bothered, whatever the case is. And so you need to learn how to cultivate this love for yourself. It's very important. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing like the love that you can show yourself, because when everyone else is gone, or when everyone may be just too busy for whatever you have going on, the only person that you can turn to is yourself. And so it's important to spend time alone, really get to understand yourself, really get to know yourself, and really see what is it that you like. do some experimenting. Do things that really open up a whole new world for yourself. Have you think differently. And have you really just go and explore and be adventurous about life. Because there's so many things about ourselves that I feel like are waiting to be discovered. And part of loving yourself is honoring those things as well. You know, discovering them and honoring them and making them part of your routine so that they can at some point be a part of who you are, because you need that side of yourself, whether it's discovered yet or not. Those are going to be the things that you discover about yourself, are going to be the things that you lean on as you continue to progress. When you feel like you don't have anything else to give, you might discover that you like being outside in nature. That's really what grounds you the most. It's not binge watching a TV show. It's not picking up the phone to call your friend, call your partner, and really like dump on them and, you know, laugh it out or whatever. It's really just being able to go outside, get some fresh air, or maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's exercising, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's going and participating in a dance class, a pottery class, or, you know, just whatever. But I feel like in this season of love, it's very important for us to find the ways that we can pour into ourselves and implement those ways. But yes, I'll leave you with that because I feel like I'm starting to ramble, and again, I didn't want to be long-winded with this interlude. So yeah, I hope that this helped. I hope that if you are struggling with self-love, that some of what I said today can find you and resonate with you. And of course, if you have anything to add to the conversation, then go ahead, go right on ahead, because I love to hear everyone and anyone's take on how to love ourselves better and just the things that we can put into practice on a day-to-day to really showcase the love that we deserve to ourselves. Alright, and that is all from me. I hope you guys have a beautiful week or weekend, because I don't know when this is dropping. But yeah, take care. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mind. Take care of your body. Take care of your soul. Take care of your spirit. And really just continue to show yourself some extra love, some extra grace, some extra compassion, and all of the good things. Alright, toodles.